All right, good afternoon. So please introduce yourself.
My name is Neil Merrell. I live in the Westminster community here in Providence. Lived there since June. Prior to that, we lived in the Somerset community for a few years. So
Fantastic.
2 different communities.
So Neil, describe for us why you would like to be on the board of directors for the Master HOA.
Well, living in other communities where there are homeowner associations, I think the general thinking can be everything runs by itself and things are taken care of, and people tend to get involved, generally speaking, when there's an issue, when in fact there are day-to-day operations for a community that do need attention. And having served on the HOA in a prior community, I know the importance of that. It is sometimes hard to get people to run for the board and participate in those day-to-day activities. So I know the importance, and I think it's important people step up and volunteer to serve in that capacity.
Fantastic. What do you see as a priority for the incoming board?
Well, I think there's a transition from the board being controlled currently by the developers to the board being controlled by the homeowners. And I think that sometimes their interests weren't completely aligned, and I think it's important everybody understand what the goals are for those two respective groups, and they have to work harmoniously. So I think it's important, and it'll be a valuable thing for the homeowners here that they have more say and complete say on the board going forward.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your skills or your experiences that would be of benefit to the overall success of the Master Association.
Well, I think I have a variety of skills from my professional life, having currently running a business, actually involved with two, dealing with employees, dealing with customers, providing service, and I think it's an important part of avoiding conflict is having good communication. So I think that's a skill that I bring to the table. I think if everyone's aware of what's going on, whether or not they agree, at least they know all the information, so there are no surprises. I think that helps reduce conflict. In addition, I did serve, I mentioned, in a prior community on the board for over 6 years, 4 years serving as president. So I understand, in general, the kind of things that pop up, the kind of issues that people care a lot about, the kind of issues that are important, yet people don't tend to care about, that's, I think, important they're at least aware of. So I think those two experiences professionally, privately working on the board, and just combining those two things. So.
Great. Do you have any long-term or short-term vision for the Master Association?
Well, I think those go together. I think we serve a fairly simple purpose, as I mentioned in my written statement. I hope some people have read. Our goal is to make sure that property values stay high. I think it's important that we be consistent enforcing the rules, but that's really the main goal I think that the board of directors has, increasing and keeping property values high. So in the short term, I think that it's important to review everything we're doing, look at the different aspects of the community besides the housing neighborhoods to make sure that they're performing it and offering the most amenities, performing at a peak level, so to speak, and looking forward to make sure that our community keeps up with the new communities and old communities in the area to make sure that our amenities are top-notch, that we're providing an attractive place for people to relocate who live in different areas and make it an attractive destination for homeowners.
Fantastic. So you've already shared that you were on a board already. Give us some additional strengths and weaknesses related to being on the board, especially in regard to leadership.
Well, again, I was president on the board, so we had 5 different people the same side as this board who didn't always share the same opinion. So it was important that we talked out our issues that we didn't agree on. Everyone got their point of view represented, got to explain their respective position, and also understood when there are 2 different opinions and 5 votes, everyone's not going to come out from that situation happy, but at least if they were able to speak their mind, get their point of view across, and let everyone know where they were coming from, at least they got their opinions heard. And whether they changed everybody's mind, the vote went their way, the other way, at least they got to say their piece and had a fair representation. So I think, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
Continue.
What about in regard to strengths, weaknesses, in regard to financials and financial understandings?
Sure. I have a finance degree, BS in finance. I have a securities license, so I have some experience working with that. I have experience in this capacity, being the president of an HOA, working with budgeting, working with reserves, dealing with vendors and bidding different projects, working with the third-party community managers who are working with our community and providing the day-to-day services that the board supports. So I have a good deal of experience there in both capacities that I think allows me to be a valuable board member and keep the community running.
And how about in your prior experience with being a board member in regard to architectural guidelines, design review, things like that, strengths, weaknesses that you have there?
I think it's a slightly different situation here where we have new communities and new homes being built. In the prior association, we were completely built out at the time that I joined the board and served as the president. So there are some new things that I'll need to get up to speed, and I think looking at some of the other board members who are running, some of those folks have some experience which I'll look to gain from in that capacity. So I think I have an understanding of it. I think as being a homeowner, the HOA has done a nice job, in my opinion, being consistent and staying out of the way in a good way, letting the sub-HOAs really deal with the nitty-gritty of what's allowable, what's not allowable, with the master HOA saying, as long as you stay within our guidelines, we're going to be very reasonable and apply common sense to these approvals, which to me seem like the right tone to take.
Great. And then finally, for strengths and weaknesses in regard to social lifestyle, the culture that we have here at Providence.
Well, I think that's one of the things I would pat the association on the back for right now. I think they do a very nice job of organizing community activities, both for children. Our kids have enjoyed the community activities, even for adults. It seems that is an important thing on their plate, to make sure that there are events, that people are coming out, they're getting to know the people in charge. They'll get to know the board members at these events. Even the board meetings, while they're not a social event, for some people, it's the only interaction they have with the board members and they have with you folks. It's where they get to know you. So that's one area I would certainly commend you on, for having a robust social program for residents of Providence.
Great. Well, thank you. So moving off of strengths and weaknesses, why don't you describe for us one aspect of the Master Association's programs that you would do differently and why, if any?
Sure. I would say I don't have a great deal of beef with what I've experienced so far from the Master HOA. I think one complaint, for lack of a better term, that I've heard throughout the community is sometimes final approval for variance requests or alteration requests can take a significant amount of time because the board only meets periodically to review those. And perhaps for things which are fairly cookie cutter, there could be a simpler system to get those approvals so people can get their vendors who are lined up to work quicker, where when you're rescheduling the tradesmen, sometimes, well, I can't do it next week, I'll see you in 2 months, which is really not a situation we want to put homeowners in. If they're doing something routine that is an easy sign-off, it doesn't require a great deal of discussion.
Great. In the last minute, do you have anything additional that you would like to add?
Sure. Not additional. I'd just like to repeat, as I mentioned in my written statement, I think the role of the board members are twofold and very simple. One, it's important that we be consistent in enforcing the rules across all the communities that Providence oversees. And I think our role is to be good stewards of the people's money. We understand that it's every homeowner's money. It's not the board's money. We have to be cognizant of that when we're making financial decisions. And the ultimate goal, like I started with, is it's important. Our main goal is to keep homeowner values as high as possible. So every decision we make has to have that one singular goal in mind, in my opinion.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jetta.
Thanks.